It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC. Breaking news, WABC.
And joining us now with some big breaking news, as there are lots of things going on with ballots all over the country, is the founder of Just the News, John Solomon. John, great to have you here with not just Rita and John, but also Judge Richard Weinberg and also former New York Governor George Pataki. John, give us the very latest about some of these big discoveries. I saw some headlines of what's going on in Pennsylvania. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, listen, I think all of Pennsylvania is on alert. All of these counties are on alert after what was uncovered in Lancaster County last week. We talked about it on the show last week. 2,500 ballots come in. A lot of them look to be fraudulent. There's a criminal investigation going on. There is a effort to weed out the fake ballot or fake application, voter applications from the actual people who may have actually done it. It looks like a third-party vendor may have faked a whole bunch of these ballot registrations and put fake names and fake IDs. Once that happened, the Lancaster County alerted other counties that we know the groups that were doing this may have also distributed and sent you ballots in the last week with similar concerns. One of those places is York County, nearby Lancaster, York County. And Donald Trump this morning put out a tweet saying, hey, there's a problem with some thousands of potentially fraudulent election-related materials there. Not quite certain yet what York has found. York has confirmed that they got a big batch of these ballot applications around the same time that Lancaster did. They're going through them very carefully. They haven't made a decision yet, or they're not saying at least whether there are fraudulent ones there. They do acknowledge that they're combing through these. They're very concerned about it. And the prosecutor there says he's working with election officials. If there's any criminality in York County like they found in Lancaster, there'll be prosecution and criminal investigations. York, a little bit behind Lancaster. They're not ready yet to say that these ballots are fraudulent like Lancaster did, but they do acknowledge they're looking at it from a criminal perspective and trying to get to the bottom of it.
By the way, some breaking news.
Wait, hold on. Here we go.
Where's the bell?
Here we go. We got a breaking news.
Breaking news, WABC.
Just reported by the Wall Street Journal. You ready for this, for all our million listeners? Pentagon runs low on air defense missiles as demand surges.
Wow.
I mean, come on.
Wow.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on? Who's running our country?
Who's running our country? And no end in sight under this administration, the current one.
Now, this is an issue that's been flagged for some time, John. The supply chain and the resupplying of our own troops has fallen to second fiddle to funding Ukraine and moving assets to Ukraine, and in some cases helping Israel out, though not as much. It's a big problem. It's been something that's been warned about for years, but all 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, they have not fixed the supply chain or the production capabilities of the Pentagon. This is a chronic problem that the next president's going to definitely have to deal with.
Governor Pataki.
Yes, John, you were talking about York County and Lancaster County, and Lancaster having found these bogus ballots, and they're on alert. They're investigating. Do we know if Philadelphia has that same issue? And you mentioned how the DA would prosecute if they're illegal. What's going to happen in Philadelphia?
Philadelphia doesn't get caught.
Well, that's the question, John.
That's probably a safe bet. I think a lot of people might think that.
What can you do?
Right now, all we know for sure is that there are two counties besides Lancaster. York is confirming it's one of the counties that are looking at a batch. We don't know who the other county is. The intelligence that we got, or the police report we got early on, was that neither county was in a major urban area. It was in the rural and suburban areas. So we don't think Philadelphia or Pittsburgh's involved, but we are asking. Thus far, we haven't got any confirmation. But York is at least confirming they're going through and looking at this batch because it's as suspicious as the one that Lancaster got last week. And by the way, delivered about the same time from a third party that Lancaster got.
That's interesting. And everybody, we're talking to John Solomon. Judge Weinberg, last question. About another state, right?
John, do you know about what the state Supreme Court of Nevada did? They're saying that they're going to accept ballots that are not postmarked, which is contrary to the state law. So do you remember 4 years ago when the Pennsylvania Supreme Court also disregarded the state law of Pennsylvania on phony ballots that never should have been counted?
Yep. Yeah, listen, this is a big thing. We had a big story on this yesterday. It's one of the big election integrity issues that the courts are going to have to get involved with. I would not be surprised if the Nevada Supreme Court ruling gets appealed to the federal courts and possibly directly to the Supreme Court, just like Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin did in the last few days when he went to the U.S. Supreme Court and said, hey, listen, you can't let the Justice Department force us to put non-citizens, people who admit they don't have a right to be on the voter rolls, back on the voter rolls, which is, by the way, what the Biden-Harris Justice Department wants Virginia to do. I think the courts will have to make a series of rulings. I would not be surprised if the Nevada Supreme Court gets sent to the federal courts for some federal intervention.
John Solomon, stay on top of things. I mean, we got 7 days to go. The American people want one American, one vote, and they want an honest vote. Thank you so much for everything you do. Keep your eyes open. Thank you.
Thank you.
I shall, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for
by the way, John, also, this is also in Pennsylvania. Another little bit of breaking news. Here we go.
Breaking news, WABC.
A federal judge is throwing out a lawsuit by Republicans who were trying to say that these absentee ballots and from members of the military, that they need to be checked out, that they need to be verified. And a judge decided, no, they don't need to be verified, that would violate rights. So in other words, allowing not a double check of somebody's status.
It's a Virginia situation all over again.
Exactly. That's exactly.
The federal constitution is very, very clear. Only citizens are allowed to vote.
And you saw today what happened in Virginia. The federal judge said, no, we're going to side essentially with the Biden DOJ.
Unbelievable.